On the 21st of September, 2019, 28-year-old Spanish woman Cristina Ortiz Lozano goes out on her very first date after 12 years in a relationship. An ice cream parlor in the center of Southampton, then a pub on London Road. An ordinary Saturday evening. But a few tables away, hiding in the shadows, sits a man who has been banned from approaching her 3 times, her former partner. Surveillance cameras will capture him following the couple across the entire city. How he reaches her door before they do. In the 4 weeks leading up to that evening, he was arrested 3 times, each time released. What happened in the kitchen of number 25 Spear Road? And why not a single restraining order worked? In the mid-2000s, at a school in northeastern Spain, 2 teenagers meet. She is 16, and her name is Cristina Ortiz Lozano, a Spanish girl from Catalonia. He is roughly the same age, Abdelaziz El Yeshioui Ourzat, a young man of Moroccan descent who grew up in Spain. A relationship begins between them that will stretch on for 12 years. This is not a whirlwind romance or a fleeting attraction. This is a life built together, started before either of them came of age. School, then work, then the decision to leave Spain together. Cristina's parents accepted her choice. They treated Abdelaziz like a member of the family. They trusted him. They asked him to look after their daughter when they themselves could not be there. By April 2018, the couple moves to the United Kingdom. First stop, Liverpool. They live there for just over a year. In July 2019, Cristina and Abdelaziz relocate further south to Southampton. Cristina is 28 and gets a job at the cruise company Norwegian Cruise Line. Abdelaziz, who is 29, becomes a baggage handler at the seaport. They rent number 25 Spear Road in the quiet residential neighborhood of Portswood, a house with several rooms, some of which are rented out through Airbnb to other tenants. A new country, a new city, a new job. But around them, no one except each other. No family, no old friends, no familiar surroundings. All they have are years of shared life and a rented house in an unfamiliar city. On the surface, a typical immigrant story, 2 people searching for a better life. But according to Cristina's friend, the relationship had not been smooth for a long time. Over those years, the couple broke up and got back together multiple times. Abdelaziz had problems with alcohol and impulsive behavior. By August 2019, this story would begin to fall apart for good. It falls apart fast. Cristina had put up with Abdelaziz's reckless lifestyle and his drinking for a long time. But in August 2019, her patience runs out. On the 24th of August, Southampton police pull over Abdelaziz's car. The officer finds the driver's condition suspicious and asks him to take a breathalyzer test. Abdelaziz refuses. He is arrested for drunk driving. For Cristina, this appears to be the last straw. The following day, the 25th of August, they have a fight. Cristina announces the relationship is over. 12 years, done. She asks him to leave. Abdelaziz reacts the way he will keep reacting from this point on, with aggression. He tears radiators off the walls, smashes light fixtures, rips cabinet doors off their hinges, and throws them out the window. The police arrive again. Second arrest in 2 days, this time for criminal damage. He is released on bail, but with a clear condition. No contact with Cristina, no approaching her. The restriction holds for 2 days. On the 27th of August, Abdelaziz shows up on Spear Road, where their shared home is. He does not enter the house, but Cristina and her friends spot him from the window. He is just standing there, watching in their direction, not moving. Shortly after, Cristina receives emails from him, obscene and abusive in content. Third arrest for breaching bail conditions, for sending abusive messages, and for property damage. He is released again. On the 29th of August, he walks out with the same set of restrictions. No contact, no approaching. A hearing on all the accumulated charges is scheduled for the 25th of September. 3 arrests in 5 days. 3 times the police intervene. 3 times, Abdelaziz walks free. The system flags the threat, but does not neutralize it. Cristina, meanwhile, tries to move on with her life. The relationship is behind her. The court date is a month away. But peace of mind does not come easy. After the property damage incident, she cannot calmly leave the house in the morning or walk to work alone. She worries that Abdelaziz might be watching her from somewhere nearby. Cristina's friend would later say the young woman wanted to go back to Spain, far away from the man she had considered her partner for so long. But for now, Cristina stays in Southampton. She signs up for a popular dating app. On the 20th of September, the day before everything happens, a profile catches her eye. A 30-year-old man named Vicente Brezo Biosca. He works as a hotel administrator in the New Forest, a national park near Southampton. They start messaging back and forth and quickly hit it off. They agree to meet the following evening, Saturday, the 21st of September. Less than a week remains before the trial of Abdelaziz. Cristina probably believes the worst is over, that the restraining order is working, that the law stands between her and her former partner. She does not know that on the evening of the 21st of September, all three threads of her new life, the date, the ex, and the restraining order, will converge at a single point. That point of convergence is an ordinary Saturday evening. Cristina and Vicente meet at Sprinkle's Ice Cream Parlor, located about 2.5 kilometers from her house. A first date, a relaxed setting, ice cream, a conversation between two people still getting to know each other. The entire time, their walk is captured by numerous surveillance cameras positioned along virtually the entire route. At 7:35 in the evening, Cristina and Vicente leave the ice cream shop and decide to visit another place. The distance is only about 1 kilometer, and the two decide to walk. They head to the Giddy Bridge pub on London Road. They sit outside. The conversation continues. The evening is warm, the atmosphere relaxed, and then the expression on Cristina's face changes. According to Vicente's testimony, it happens abruptly, as if someone flipped a switch. She looks to the side and sees Abdelaziz. Later, at trial, Vicente will describe her reaction like this. She looked like a person who is terrified of an animal. Cristina tells her companion that her ex-partner is aggressive, that he is forbidden from coming near her, that they need to leave. The couple gets up from the table and walks out of the pub. A date that started with ice cream turns into an escape in a matter of seconds. But getting away from Abdelaziz will not be possible. It will not be possible because he is already there. And he has been there long before the couple arrived at the pub. Police will later reconstruct Abdelaziz's movements that evening. Even before Cristina and Vicente reach the Giddy Bridge, Abdelaziz is already nearby. He is standing several dozen meters from the establishment in a park. Cameras capture a man in a white shirt and tie pacing back and forth across the park grounds as though waiting for something. At one point, he takes out his phone and photographs Cristina with her companion. That photograph will later be found on his phone. He also manages to stop by a Tesco and buy a bouquet of flowers. When the couple leaves the pub, Abdelaziz follows them. Surveillance cameras on London Road capture three figures moving in the same direction. Cristina and Vicente walk on one side of the street toward Spear Road, toward Cristina's home. On the opposite side, trying to remain unnoticed, Abdelaziz moves along. The prosecution will later present these recordings as key evidence. On the footage, he can be seen pausing at intersections, hiding behind building corners, waiting, then resuming his pace. He is not simply walking the same route, he is tracking the couple. Prosecutor Carrie Malin will call it a targeted pursuit. As they walked, Cristina told Vicente the story of her relationship with her ex, that he is impulsive, that he has a drinking problem, that he has been ordered to stay away from her. She did not know that, at that very moment, Abdelaziz was walking on the opposite side of the road, never losing sight of them. At some point, he overtakes the couple and reaches the house first. When Cristina and Vicente approach number 25 Spear Road, Abdelaziz is already standing at the entrance. In his hands, flowers. And so, the man who is forbidden from coming near her stands at her door with a bouquet, as if he has come to make amends. Cristina sees him and still walks inside. She opens the door and steps in. Abdelaziz follows her inside and walks through to the kitchen. Vicente stays on the street. According to his testimony, he decided to give the former lovers a chance to talk one last time. He did not know Abdelaziz, had never seen him before, did not fully grasp how dangerous the situation was. And then a scream comes from inside the house. Vicente rushes to the door. It is locked. He kicks it open. What he sees in the kitchen, he will describe in court a year and a half later. Cristina is lying on her back on the floor. Abdelaziz is sitting on top of her. In one hand, a knife. His other hand is on Cristina's throat. Vicente stands in the doorway. Abdelaziz turns his head and looks at him, between them an arm's length. Vicente realizes he could be next. He turns and runs out into the street. Abdelaziz closes the kitchen door behind him. He runs to the neighboring houses and shouts, "Call the police! Help me! He's going to kill her!" He pounds on doors, tries to get someone's attention. A 30-year-old hotel administrator, who 2 hours ago was eating ice cream on a first date, is now standing on a nighttime Southampton street, trying to find someone who will help save a person he barely knows. Several people are living in the house on Spear Road at this time. A housemate, Rodriguez Lopez, wakes up to loud voices. She hears a man's voice shouting Cristina's name. In a panic, the woman barricades her door with a wooden bed frame and dials the police. 3 Airbnb guests renting a room in the same house also lock themselves in. They hear screaming but do not dare to come out. A neighbor, Alan Maish, is closer than the others. He approaches the kitchen and sees what is happening. Later, in court, he will say that Abdelaziz had madness in his eyes. Maish tries to intervene, but the man with a knife in his hand forces him to back away. Meanwhile, Vicente is on the street pounding on the doors of neighboring homes. Someone opens up. He explains the situation in broken sentences. They call the police. Police and paramedics arrive at around 10 in the evening. On the kitchen floor, officers find the body of Cristina Ortiz Lozano with no signs of life. Paramedics examine her and pronounce her dead at the scene. Abdelaziz is found in the garden, in the backyard. He does not try to run. He is taken to a medical facility where he receives treatment. The forensic examination will later determine multiple stab wounds inflicted with a kitchen knife. The knife was taken from a drawer in that same kitchen. On Cristina's hands, defensive wounds, signs that she tried to shield herself, tried to fight back. She is 28 years old. The day before, she found someone through a dating app with whom she decided to start over. 4 days later, a court hearing was supposed to take place where Abdelaziz would have answered for his previous violations. The trial will happen, but a very different one. And not on the 25th of September as planned, but much later, and on an entirely different charge. On the 1st of October, 2019, 10 days after Cristina's death, Abdelaziz El Yechiui Ourzat is officially charged with murder. The investigation is led by the Major Crime Unit of Hampshire Police, under Detective Inspector Toby L. Koch. Police seize Abdelaziz's phone, and on it, they find the photograph of Cristina with Vicente, taken that evening shortly before the couple visited the pub. Recordings from dozens of surveillance cameras are collected, reconstructing Abdelaziz's route minute by minute, from the park near the pub, along London Road, to the door on Spear Road. Witness statements from Vicente Biosca, the neighbors, the residents of the house, and the forensic examination results are all added to the case file. The case is referred to Winchester Crown Court. At preliminary hearings, Abdelaziz sets out his position. He does not accept guilt for what he is charged with. He is willing to admit only to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. He claims he was suffering from depression and lost control of himself. He maintains that Cristina invited him into the house, that she was the one who picked up the knife first, that he was merely defending himself. Not a single one of these claims is supported by camera footage, witness testimony, or forensic evidence. At every hearing and at the trial itself, Abdelaziz speaks through a Spanish interpreter, the language of the country where he grew up alongside Cristina. In February 2021, a year and a half after Cristina's death, the main trial begins. Winchester Crown Court, Judge Jane Miller presiding. Prosecutor Carrie Malin frames the prosecution's case in a single sentence. A jealous ex-boyfriend in a rage carried out a ferocious attack on her simply because she had spent the evening with another man. The prosecution rests on 3 pillars. The first is CCTV. Cameras captured Abdelaziz near the pub on London Road at the house. Every step he took that evening is recorded. The second is witness testimony. Vicente Biosca tells the jury what Cristina's face looked like when she saw her ex, how they left the pub, how he kicked in the door, what he saw on the kitchen floor. Rodriguez Lopez describes the screaming and the bed barricade. Alan Maish describes the look in Abdelaziz's eyes. The third pillar is the timeline of preceding events: 3 arrests, bail conditions, breach of the restraining order, abusive emails, The defense insists on depression, loss of control, diminished responsibility. Abdelaziz's lawyers call a psychiatrist, who confirms the defendant was in a state of depression following the breakup. But the prosecution counters, depression does not explain why a person buys flowers, stalks his ex across an entire city, photographs her with another man, overtakes the couple, and arrives at her door first. This is not a loss of control. This is a plan. The jury retires to deliberate. After 5 hours and 36 minutes, they return with a unanimous verdict: guilty. A month later, on the 17th of March, 2021, Judge Jane Miller delivers the sentence in the same courtroom at Winchester Crown Court. Life imprisonment. A minimum term of 19 years before any application for parole can be considered. The judge calls the attack brutal, savage, and sustained. Abdelaziz El Yechioui Ouarzat is 31 years old. The earliest he can apply for release is the year 2040. Detective Inspector Toby Elcock issues a statement. This was a vicious attack on a young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. Cristina's family sends a statement from Spain, which is read aloud in court. Cristina, you left too soon to join your dog Noah. We will never forget your joy, your happiness, your determination. You always gave the best of yourself to your family, your dogs, your dreams. Cristina's father, who was present throughout the proceedings, left the courtroom in silence after the sentence was delivered. This case sparked widespread public outcry across the United Kingdom. Domestic violence advocacy organizations pointed to a systemic failure. In the 4 weeks before that Saturday in September, Abdelaziz was arrested 3 times. Each time he was released on bail with a no-contact order. Each time he violated the conditions. And each time, the system responded in exactly the same way, with another order that he would break again. Hampshire police conducted an internal review of their officers' actions. The results were never made public, and the man who was arrested 3 times and released 3 times came to his former partner's house with flowers and took a kitchen knife from a drawer in her kitchen.